Welcome to the Real Estate Fight Club, a podcast for agents where you'll witness a battle of opinions about topics affecting your real estate business. Now, always in your corner, here are your hosts, Jen Mertland and Monica Weekly.
All right, this is episode 109, Real Estate Fight Club. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Fight Club. What's up, Jennifer Mertland?
Hey, Monica. How's your day?
Day's great. Day's great. It was a rainy day here today on the day
Ew.
we're recording this, but it's okay. It's good.
Okay, good. Are we matching?
Oh,
I think so. You're purple?
Yeah.
Is that purple?
is it the Real Estate Fight Club uniform?
I think so. We found it.
I love it. Love it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. As always, we love that you're here. Thanks for tuning in to Real Estate Fight Club. And today, Jen and I are going to duke it out over this question. Should you have to disclose property defects from a prior inspection report? So let's say you had a deal fall through, you had an inspection. Should you have to disclose some things found on that report? Now, we know what the law says, right?
No, I don't know.
Well, if you have your state's residential property disclosure form, that's all that you need to disclose is what's on there, right?
I guess.
So I think we're talking about if there's something outside of that, should you have to disclose
Here's
that,
the
right?
thing. I think like sometimes the inspectors have no idea what they're doing. Yeah.
It's CYA, cover your whoop,
Woo, woo.
and whoop, whoop. And it's CYA is what it is.
Yeah. And so like I have seen agents get like all up in arms, like my seller doesn't want to disclose that, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, what is the like proof that that thing exists? And where does that line fall on the seller now that the deal is dead? They have this inspection report.
Mhm.
Where does it fall that now they've got to investigate any items that could be latent defects, material defects?
Mhm, mhm.
You know, like that's the real question.
Mhm. But you're saying outside of the residential property disclosure form, because if you discover something through a prior inspection report and you're given that report, now you know you've got to go back and edit that property disclosure form.
Yeah, but what if the inspector's not right?
That's a great point.
Or like, what if you don't trust them? Like this is the same inspector that, I don't know, like broke something or couldn't figure out how to turn the dishwasher on because he didn't know how to flip the switch.
Right.
Do you know
Well,
what I mean? Like, or you've dealt with him before on something else and he's an idiot.
well, I think you have to investigate further. I mean, if
Do
you've
you?
been made aware, because I think you
I
have to
don't
get to
know.
the truth about the subject matter, whatever the subject matter may be.
Maybe.
So if you have a inspector that says, hey, I think there's some questionable foundation things going on here,
Or like discoloration in the attic.
or that.
I don't know because I think it's all circumstantial. Like, so I can imagine this scenario where what you're saying makes sense. And I can imagine that's a lot of scenarios where it's
Mhm.
like, oh, is that really true? And as the homeowner, I want to make sure I sell this house in good condition.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
But
yeah. And so nobody comes back and sues me at some point saying I knew about it.
But you don't know about it.
You have reason to question it,
That doesn't mean you know.
but do you have a responsibility to find the answer?
I don't think you do.
So you're saying if the inspector finds something that looks like mold, but he calls it biogrowth or whatever, and you
They
just
call it
disagree with it,
discoloration.
or discoloration.
Yeah,
You
you're like,
disagree
that's
with
not
it.
true.
That's not
I don't
what that
know.
is.
I don't know. I think there can be a case. Like everything in real estate, what I know to be true is it's not ever cut and dry, ever, 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 ever.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
So like I can think that there would be somewhere where you're like, that's absolutely, to my knowledge, that is not right.
Mhm.
And the disclosure is, as the seller, to my knowledge, is any of this correct or wrong or whatever, right? I'm
How
filling it out to
convenient.
my knowledge.
But how convenient to just stand behind to my knowledge. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I
most
have no
people
knowledge.
don't. Most people don't.
But that's where the responsibility to dig and get an expert in and find the answers is.
But sometimes I don't think you have to, because sometimes there's more evidence saying that the inspector was probably not the quality of inspector that was expected to come through the home.
I just don't know that that will fly. I'm always thinking forward to protecting the client, of course. So if that would to come back on them, they get
Yeah.
the next sale, and it were to come back on them, have I done everything to advise them to protect themselves from that scenario? Because that's really what you're working towards, right?
Yeah.
That's what all of this is about.
Right.
And so
This is why most agents don't get the full inspection report. Remember, we did one about the inspection report, and I was like, just send it all. And you were like, just send some of the pages.
I just want to know the things, the bare minimum.
And I'm like, send it all.
Ignorant. What's the saying? My dad would be so mad. I don't.
Ignorance
of the
is
law is
bliss.
no excuse or something.
Yeah, it's not an excuse. No. And I'm not saying that it should be used as an excuse, right? I'm just saying, like, there are cases where the seller has had dealings with the inspector before. And especially if it's like a repair, I don't know, like they've had dealings with them before and they weren't favorable dealings. And this one also wasn't, like, it didn't work. And what they were saying didn't make any sense or something like that. You know what I mean?
Do you think then, based on that statement, that you should be able to say who comes into your house and does the inspection and who doesn't?
I mean, I think that's an interesting question, right? And we did a podcast on pre-inspections.
Because there's a guy here in Cincinnati that a lot of agents won't let into their house. I don't even know if he's still working, because I haven't heard his name in a long time, because I think he got pushed out of the business.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
he was blowing deals up every single time. And then he would get the second inspection. So every client was worth $800 instead of $400.
Wow.
And people, like, I remember when I got in the business, this was early on, they were like, do not let him, like, put that in your contract that this guy cannot inspect your house.
I mean, you can do that for certain buyers. You can say, like, I won't sell my house to these people.
As long as it's not based on any of the protected class.
No,
things,
it's a
I guess.
specific person.
Yeah. Can you really? I guess you can do that.
You can.
Well, okay. Why would you do that?
Because you don't like them, or it's your ex-boyfriend's new
Something
girlfriend.
like
And she
Yeah.
really likes the house, and you knew that because she was your best friend before she got with your boo. You know what I mean? Who knows?
And I'm not selling to that biatch.
No,
No,
right. You're like, I'm not selling to her. I don't know. I think this is a fine line. I understand your point. And look, don't throw me any shade, people that are listening, because I know you will.
Oh yeah.
But
You're
I'm
getting
just, I agree with you that as the seller, most sellers want to deliver the house in good condition to the next buyers. Most sellers take care of their homes and they want to fix things that are wrong. I also agree with myself that some inspectors are terrible and they say stuff that they have no business saying because they don't know. And or it's wrong.
Yeah.
It does
They are wrong.
happen.
It happens.
And now I'm going to spend a bunch of money to find out you were wrong when I already knew it was wrong. No, I'm not doing it.
So maybe at a minimum, in writing, because you got to have a paper trail on this, you email and say, hey, look, this, maybe the last inspector found this. We disagree with it. Don't think it's an issue, but we wanted you to know, for you in your next inspection, buyer beware kind of thing.
You mean to the new buyer?
Yeah. To the next
No,
buyer.
You're not going to do that.
Well, you could.
Well, you could do anything you want, but that is going to turn off the buyer, right?
Maybe not. I mean, maybe if you're making your case, like, this is why we don't think this guy knew what the hell he was talking about. Here's our explanation of what it is. Then,
yeah, but if it's not true and it doesn't exist, why are you bringing it up?
Because if it is true, what if you're wrong and it comes back on you that you had knowledge of it? That's where the lawsuit.
But it wouldn't, because if it's wrong, if it's not wrong and the next person gets an inspection and they sell you the same thing, it's like, dude, you might want to look at that.
You might want to, what if we just say that? Dude, you might want to look at that.
I mean, I'm just like it's your house, right?
You might want to take a look.
But you might want to take a look, because while that other guy was not trustworthy, what Inspector 1 was not trustworthy, or whatever you say about him, Inspector 2 found the same thing. So there may be some validity.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know. This is a slippery slope. And I know you probably thought this was going to be kind of a slam dunk, or I feel like the listeners might have thought it was going to be a slam dunk, but I just don't think that what they say, what every inspector says, I do not take it as like the God's truth. I just think you have to look at it and say, does this make sense?
Would you agree that the blanket statement here is, if in doubt, reach out to the broker? That's how you protect.
I don't even know what that means.
I mean, if you're not sure how to handle a situation, get the broker involved.
That's dumb, of course.
That's all I'm saying is that's the blanket statement here.
Well, it's the seller's house, right? So like the seller, that's like for everything. Like, don't listen to our podcast and do what we say. Like, if what we say it makes sense.
Disclaimer,
like,
don't listen
we're not
to us.
the liable party here. But like the seller, it is their house. They have a decision that they have to make to accept this report or not, and then accept the consequences or not. It's up to them.
But we have a fiduciary responsibility to advise them in some way.
Yeah, we can.
That's what we're talking about.
But it's still up to them.
How do you advise?
I don't know that I would hold the inspection report. I don't know that I would hold it to like such a high standard that it is like God's word.
Yeah, agree.
And then disclose like everything that they found in there. I don't know that I would do that as a seller.
I agree. I think there's a strategic move that has to happen at that point, and that's where it gets sticky. And I'm just always going to err on the side of caution. I'm always going to recommend that my sellers err on the side of caution.
And I'm always going to err on the side of gray. Can we go back to our break?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a break too. I'm tired. All right, let's take a short break. Hear a word from our partners, and when we return, we'll have the final punches.
Hi guys, it's Monica and Jen from the Real Estate Fight Club. Hey. We just want to make sure to let you know that we have extremely cool partners in this great podcast that we have. We can't bring a show to you every week without our great partners. So we want you to go click below and check out their links and the special offers that they offer our Real Estate Fight Club listeners like you.
We've got some good ones. So we have a great offer from Vulcan 7, which is the dialer that I use to get all the numbers to start, pleasantly persistently harassing people.
Love it.
They're
the best in the biz.
The best. Yeah, they truly are. We got Ghost Poster, which is Monica's Monica's
click below.
Product. Yeah. We've got our coach, John Kitchens. He's
whoop, whoop.
Yep. And then Real Support Solutions, which provides like administrative help and training. So
they're awesome.
Click those links, babies.
All right.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Let's get back to the battle inside the ring. Jen is feeling very ornery here today, and I'm standing my ground.
Boo!
Safety is best.
Boo!
Caution is best.
Throw it to the wind.
Here, look, here's my 1 minute dissertation. We got off our thing here, our little pattern that we had. 1 minute for each of us, final arguments.
Okay.
I just think when in doubt, first of all, check with your broker, but second of all, always err on the side of careful, because if you have nothing to hide, if you have nothing to worry about, then go that way. Because then, if the worst happens and somebody turns around to sue you, you can demonstrate that your goodwill and intention was not to harm in any way.
I say always err on the side of common sense.
You're assuming that exists, and we have proven time and time again in this universe that does not exist.
And here's the amount of times that people look, we do the What Would You Do episodes, right?
Yeah.
And we talk to lawyers and all this stuff, and like people they don't really get sued over property disclosures. You would have to prove that they knew about it, right? You'd have to prove that. and it would have to be a big enough problem that it would make sense for you to sue them. Now, I'm not saying that means that you should just not disclose anything, although I kind of most of the time just want to cross it out and be like, good luck.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Good
I
luck.
mean, like, I've been living here. It's fine. Do what you got to do to decide if you would also like to live here.
Note to our listeners, don't ever buy Jen Mertlin's house. You just don't know what you're getting.
That's not true.
But
I'm just saying, like, it's just, I don't know. I just think it's too much weight that a lot of people hold on the inspector, and most inspectors are general knowledge people. Like in our state, you and I could be inspectors.
Right. It's true.
Okay. What did that tell you?
Right.
I'm not a plumber or an HVAC. And then what do they always say? The HVAC system needs to be cleaned. What? How do you know that? Because the filter's dirty? Like, I don't know. I just think that they just don't know.
Don't you think, though, that in the spirit of like sleeping at night and always treating people like you might treat your grandmother, that, you know, you just, when in doubt, disclose?
Maybe.
All right. I just think that's going to have to be the end of today's discussion. I don't know that we solved a single damn thing here.
I don't think so. And usually we can come to like some type of like something, but it's not happening.
No, I actually feel more confused than when we started. I do.
Well, dear listeners, we hope that you are also confused. And please tune back in.
We'll try to clear it up another day.
Maybe not.
All right. I think that's going to have to be the end of today's battle. If you tolerated this episode,
don't send it to anyone. Send them a different one.
No, send it on, because this could be a great discussion inside your office. This could be a great discussion at your next agent happy hour. Let's continue this conversation.
Let's do it.
Right.
And if you want to fight with us, please head over to our Real Estate Fight Club Facebook page, and you can, talk smack. We're open to it.
Real Estate Fight Club podcast. That's the full title of it.
You're right. Real Estate Fight Club podcast. That's right. Facebook page.
Yeah.
And if you have an interest in learning more about EXP, feel free to call us 513-400-1691. Monica, always a pleasure, even when it's not. And
I agree. It's actually most pleasurable when it's not. So thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. I am here with Joelle with our tiebreaker. Hello. How are you?
Hi, Jennifer.
Thanks for
I'm
being
well.
Good. Thanks for being on. So you are in Porto, Portugal, and you're the managing partner for Uno Luxury Mass, correct?
Yes.
This will be a fun question for you, it'll be fun for us to hear how you guys do business in Portugal. So your tiebreaker question is, should you disclose property defects? Ours is like from an inspection report, but share with us how you all do business there.
Okay, so here in Portugal, we don't have the custom to have an inspection before closing the deal. What the best thing we do, and this is something really new, it's regarding refurbishments and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Before the buyer or the investor makes the decision to buy, he brings someone with him, a builder or an architect, just to give him an idea of the costs, of the challenge that he will be facing for the renovation process and so on. But it's not like a real deep test or a real intervention to understand before the deal is done, to understand if there's any defaults on the construction level, like plumbing or electricity, or even structural, like walls and so on. So we don't have that habit to do it.
Everybody buys at the property as is.
Yeah.
Is there any, that's crazy. Are there any like disclosures from the seller about anything wrong with the property, or you don't have that either?
Well, it's more a matter of ethics. So if myself as a seller, I know that there are some major damage on the property,
Yeah.
I should do, I should talk, I should disclose it, I should explain it.
You should, but are you required?
Yeah, that's the argument. So
Yeah.
some do, some don't, and then the buyer a few months or a few years later, or even a few days later, finds out the problems that he will be facing. So
That's crazy. So when you are showing a property and there's been like no disclosures, I mean, and if people don't know, in Portugal, I mean, these properties could be 500 years old, right? I mean,
with
some,
old properties, yes,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, some newer
Okay.
ones, of course, too, but like there's some really old buildings.
I think that there it's that matter is actually simpler, because if you're buying like a building that has 200 or 300 years,
Yeah.
you know you're gonna have to work it. You know,
Right, that's true. You'd be ready to put in a lot of money because it needs
Yeah.
renovation.
You
Yeah.
know. So the thing is, when I believe that this gets more tricky when you're buying like a 40-year-old property or
Okay.
a 50-year-old property that has that kind of damage, which doesn't happen a lot. Actually, I've been working in real estate for the past 8 years,
Mhm.
and I've never faced the situation like that. So negotiating a property that we will find out later on that has some major damage.
It
All
doesn't
small
really
issues,
happen.
no, it doesn't really happen. Small issues I think it's part of the nature.
Right.
So having to replace the wires, the electricity system or the plumbing system.
Right. That's awesome. It's kind of like in the United States, it used to be like a buyer beware mentality, like maybe 30 years ago. But then it went
Mhm.
to people doing inspections. And then, like, what if somebody has to make like a fast decision? Because here, if they had to make a fast decision and they were competing, they would release and say, we're not going to do inspections, which we never recommend. But like, what if their contractor or the architect could not come with them? Will they put in an offer and have any due diligence period? Or will they just come back with the contractor before the offer?
Well, the best would be to do the first visit already with an architect or
Right.
with a builder. If that is not possible and you really love the property and you feel that if you don't make the decision in that moment, you will lose
Right.
your chance to get it. What we sometimes do is to move forward with the negotiation under a condition. The condition that the property is going to be inspected, our inspection, not your level of inspection. So
Yeah.
and if it matches the expectations, perfect.
Okay.
We move forward with the deal. If not, if we find some surprises, so the buyer may leave.
But during that time, there could be another buyer that doesn't have that contingency and the seller could take the offer, right?
Yeah. So we try to use these different factors.
Right.
So the level of negotiation, the distance between the asking price and the offered price,
Yeah.
maybe accepting the asking price or putting in a bigger down payment to when we sign the contract. We will try to use better conditions to create the best scenario possible.
Right, to make it like attractive for the seller. So I imagine if you're bringing with you like an architect or somebody in construction, that the showing takes quite a while, does it?
Well, it depends. I'll give you the recent example that I have. We closed the deal 2 weeks ago. It is a big property, a big house with around 40 years old, and I'm helping the buyer.
Okay.
So the property is listed with another agency, so we are partnering. Okay. And because I already have the experience and I have the resources, I invited one of the builders that I work with to be with us on the visit. But his level of expertise is big, so he did a very quick examination to the key points. So plumbing, he opened the electricity board, and he tested this and tested that.
Right.
So while the buyer was traveling around, seeing the property,
Oh, I got it. Yeah, that makes sense. It can happen at the same time.
it happens at the same time. So it's not really a waste of time. So the buyer is experiencing what he needs to experience. So to feel the house, to imagine himself living there, what changes would he like to do, and so on. And the technician is with his eyes focusing those key points.
Right.
And then in the end of the meeting, we went to have a coffee. We discussed, we shared knowledge, and the buyer said, yes, I want to buy it.
Nice.
So
that's cool. Well,
yeah.
if people are, I know right now there's incentives for all nationalities, but for Americans to buy property in Portugal, and they call it the Golden Visa. If people are interested in finding more about investing in Portugal, or if anybody from Portugal is listening to this and they want to know more about your company, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
So they can reach me directly to my phone number using WhatsApp or Telegram, or whichever app. I can tell you the number.
Yeah, we're ready.
So +351 is the Portuguese initial. So my number is 935-20173. So we can reach me there or through my social media, and it's very easy to find me. So at Joel Advisor, that's it. If
Easy.
you type at Joel Advisor, you will find me on social media.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you being on. It's always good to hear how other countries do things to gain like a bigger perspective.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me. It's wow, this is amazing. So thanks for the opportunity and the experience.
Have a good rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.